up, everybody? Welcome to season 2.5, episode 3 of the weekly Gridiron podcast. And today starts a very important segment we call WG Predictions 2024. It is here. Dante's telling y'all with the hand motions there.
Oh, yeah.
As
Time
always, we are your main guys. We are your hosts, Adam
Dante.
and Luke.
We're happy to have you all here wherever you're watching from. So
Yeah.
this is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to go through each division, rank the teams 1 through 4, and then at the end, give some other wild card teams that we think will make it in. And I think we're just going to do AFC today.
Yep.
Save the AFC for next week. Give you guys some time to let
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, of course. That's a good way of putting it. So I know you guys are both AFC fans. Luke,
Yep.
I don't know if you're wearing a patch shirt there. I see it's blue.
Yeah, I am.
Of course you are.
As you can see by all of these. If you're listening, that's all the Super Bowl championships.
Yep.
Dante's got the Steeler hat on. I am supporting both and shouting out my boy CJ Stroud. So
Hell yeah.
that's what we're going for today. So what division shall we start with?
Whatever you want.
Let's start with the Chiefs division. I feel like that's going to be easiest to pick the winner of.
Yep.
Sounds good. So are we going team by team? Is each person taking a turn given their order? How
Adam, you could start if you want. If
Yeah.
you just want to give your order.
Give your
Okay.
4-1, Adam. Give some reason for all of them.
All right, I got to open this up. Even though I had some records on here, I wasn't sure about those records, to be honest. So I'm glad we're not doing records in this video. All right. For the AFC West, starting off in 4th, dead last, no doubt about it in my mind, is Denver. Just a mess there right now. I still don't know why Sean Payton's working there, why he took that job. He could be doing so many better things with his life. I like Bo Nix, but
All right.
I don't believe that team. What?
I think Sean Payton should kick rocks.
I agree. I mean, I agree.
I'm not a big Sean Payton fan, to be honest with you.
Can't say I disagree.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on. In 3rd place, I have the Raiders. Not much better, probably, but I like Gardner Minshew. If he wins that quarterback battle, maybe he can get them a few wins. Who knows what's going to happen with Devontae Adams? Maybe he gets traded eventually. Maybe he gets extended there. If I were him, I'd definitely want to play elsewhere, but that's just what I'm thinking. 2nd place, I guess I'll go Chargers. I'm not really thinking there's not too much to be looking forward to there this year. I mean, Herbert's Herbert, Jim Harbaugh's there, but receiver room is kind of empty besides Ladd McConkey, I guess. And they lost Eckler, they lost Keenan Allen, they lost Mike Williams. Still have Quentin Johnston, for whatever that's worth. And then 1st place, no doubt in my mind. Who else but the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, I guess you could say the best team in the AFC, but they're my 1st place team regardless. I think that's going to be everyone's 1st place team. So,
yep. All right, I can go next.
Go ahead.
So at 4, I agree with Adam here. I have the Broncos. Bo Nix did look decent in his first preseason game. However, I believe they named Jared Stidham the starter for whatever.
For now, at least, yeah.
Pretty insane, but I would imagine Bo Nix is going to take over by week 6 or 7 at the latest. At 3, I actually have the Chargers. First year back in the league for Jim Harbaugh. Still lacking weapons for Justin Herbert. I mean, Ladd McConkey, he could be a solid receiver for them, but at the same time, he's a rookie. 2 injury prone. Well, 1 really injury prone running back and 1 kind of injury prone running back in J.K. Dobbins, who gets hurt all the time.
Yes,
And then Gus Edwards.
love Dobbins, though.
Oh, love Dobbins. I want to see him succeed for sure. He was a beast at OSU. But yeah, Chargers at 3. At 2, I have the Raiders. I think Max Crosby is going to have a great year. I think the Raiders are going to have some of the best quarterback play they've had in years out of Minshew, which I know from the Raiders that doesn't say much. But I think Devontae is going to have a good year. Um, and I think rookie Brock Bowers is also going to be a big factor for the Raiders.
That's right. I forgot about him.
And then
Right.
and also Michael Mayer. They have a very nice tight end tandem, young tight end tandem there. I think that'll work out nice for them. And then the Chiefs at 1. There's really no explanation for that. I'm sure we all
Yeah.
agree.
I'll just piggyback right there. I'm going to jump up top. There's no doubt in my mind the Chiefs are number one. They're going to win that division fairly easily. It's already in hand. They don't need to do much at all for it. But what's interesting is I have some slightly different thoughts than you guys do for the rest of this division. I'm going to start all the way down at 4. This is the first place I disagree. I have the Chargers at 4.
Wow. All right.
Now, Jim Harbaugh, John or Jim? I mix. I think Jim, right?
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim.
John is on the
Jim
radar.
Harbaugh. That's right, Jim Harbaugh. I think he's going to do good things for this team, but I think it's going to take some time. I think Lad McConkey can be good, but in order for this team to even have a winning record, he needs to be like Puka Nacua good.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. Quentin Johnson needs to have some sort of a turnaround season. They're really going to need both those guys to have at least 1,000 yards to have a good season. And I don't see it happening. I don't know if the run game is going to get worse. It's certainly not going to get better to me. Austin Eckler definitely was losing some. He has some miles on those wheels, so getting rid of him was fine. But I don't think he got any better in that category. Like you said, too injury prone. In third place, I have the Raiders.
You mean second? Oh no, you
in
mean
third place.
I'm sorry, I forgot you mean fourth. My bad.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert: I have Denver in second. So that's a lot to unpack. But I think that Denver has probably, well, okay, fine, the third best quarterback situation in that division. But I don't think it's quite as bad as people think it is. I actually think Bo Nix will do good in Sean Payton's system. And I think that he's going to have a good enough defense to carry them to at least second in that division. I don't have them making the playoffs or anything. The Chiefs are the only team from that division I have making the playoffs. But I think they'll be second in the division. And I think the Raiders will be third because as much as I like Gardner Minshew, he's not good enough to carry you through an entire season. And Aiden O'Connell, I think he could be good, but again, not good enough to carry you through an entire season. He might be good enough to have a job in the NFL and maybe a starter on a team like this. But as much as I like Devontae Adams, he's getting up there in age. Max Crosby, but he's doing it pretty much alone. Antonio Pierce, wait and see. I just don't have a lot of confidence in them, but I am specifically low on the Chargers. So that's why I have Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, and obviously Chiefs.
Fair.
Okay, I like that. Besides number 1, I think we all had a different 2, 3, 4. So it's a pretty solid start, if you ask me. Okay, where are we going next? Do we want to save your guys' divisions for last? Do we want to just go to the South?
We go to the South. We can do that.
All right. I guess should I start it off again?
Yeah, go for it.
Keep the same order because I am still very torn on this division. So I want to hear some thoughts to clear my head a little.
Yeah.
I was very torn this morning, dude. I'll say this. My 1 and 4 were pretty easy to choose from, but my 2 and 3 was a toss-up. So
I'm 2 through 4. I am going through every single combination, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to land on. So just go ahead.
I'll start with my 1 and 4. How about that? I'll start with the number 1, Houston, for sure for me. Best team in that division. I know they're going to have a tougher schedule this year, obviously, but I think CJ Stroud's built for it. He's got such a great offense, maybe the best offense in the league. I mean, you've got Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, with CJ Stroud leading that. That's just insane how well they have built that team. Their defense is good too. Apparently, I'm hearing if they need him, JJ Watt could come out of retirement for 1 more year. That would just be insane. No, for real, Houston is number 1 for me. And then number 4, I have Tennessee number 4. I was back and forth between those 3 teams, but I'm a big Anthony Richardson guy. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, well, he's not the best quarterback. He's reliable. Will Levis, I feel like there's still some things we need to figure out. And that Titans offense, I just don't know what to think of Tennessee right now. So I'm going to put Tennessee number 4. I'm going to put Houston number 1. And then down to 2 and 3, I think I'm going to go Indy 2 and Jacksonville 3, but that is really close. Like, one game difference. Maybe they finish with the same record and some tiebreaker puts one team in second, one team in third. But I mean, I don't know. I like Shane Steichen. I like Anthony Richardson. I think the Colts have built well. Don't forget, I know we talked about Gardner Minshew a few minutes ago, but he led that Colts team to a 9-win season last year. They were very close to winning that division and going to the playoffs, and maybe they would have had the Texans story instead of Houston, if not for one loss. But who knows? I mean, I like the Colts this year, so I'm going to go Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee. That's my 4. That's my order right there.
Well, way to steal my thunder, Adam, because I have the same exact order.
Sorry.
Oh, you're all good. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so Titans at 4.
I guess I saved us time, but I'll let you give your thoughts on it still.
Yeah, well, Titans at 4. I think I'm very high on Will Levis. I think he showed great signs last year. I got to see him live against the Steelers. It was a Thursday night game, and the guy's that he's looks very poised. I think he's going to be the quarterback for the Titans for a long time. Jags at 3. T-Law really needs to pick it up. I could honestly see them finishing in last if Will Levis has a season like he's capable of having. But out of respect, I'll give them 3. Colts at 2. I think Anthony Richardson showed a ton of flashes in the minimal amount of snaps that he played last year. Very solid quarterback. If he can stay healthy for an entire season, I could see him jumping into the top 12. That's probably too high. I'd say top 13 to 15 quarterbacks in the league. I really think he has that capability.
Will Levis, you said?
No, Anthony Richardson. Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're all good. And then Texans at 1. I feel like that's fairly obvious, but I think the 2 at the top of the division are easily the Colts and the Texans.
All right, Luke, let's see what you think.
Well, I can agree with the last thing he said. Just to get it out of the way, I have the Texans number 1 and the Colts number 2, which I'm going to come back to. But if I did have the same ranking, I would have said so. I don't. I actually have Jacksonville in last. They lost Calvin Ridley, who I know isn't a top 10 guy. He has problems. He has drop issues, but he's still a 1,000-yard guy. And he's still somebody for Trevor Lawrence to get the ball to, who just got paid. I don't know anything about the guy, but sometimes guys get paid. They get a little complacent, especially when they've been in the playoff picture the past couple of years. You know, they're close enough where they probably think they don't have to add much, and they didn't. I don't remember the kind of draft they had, but I don't think they added enough to keep themselves afloat. Where
Who,
on the
Jackson?
flip side, yeah, I don't.
Ridley went to Tennessee.
And Ridley went to Tennessee.
My bad.
No, you're good. No, you're right. And Ridley went to Tennessee, and they added on, and they got a defensive head coach, which I trust that. If you can stop the other offenses in this division, that will be extremely important. Because I'm not sure about the Jacksonville defense. The Colts defense is always scrappy, but I'm not sure about some of the names anymore. It's just there's some question marks. So if you can shut down the other defenses in this division, you know, like you said, Will Levis, the man with a mayonnaise flavored cologne now, which maybe I have to get. I have a cologne stand over there. Probably not. To each their own. But Adam, don't forget, we've seen him live too in the little bits and pieces where James Franklin decided he was worth anything and said, you can have this fourth quarter. You can have this last 5 minutes.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't get me started on that. But I trust the guy too. I like Will Levis. I like his arm. I like his composure, and I like the weapons they put around him. Tony Pollard, that's a good addition. Calvin Ridley, that's a good addition. DeAndre Hopkins, you're still going to get another year or 2, maybe 3, at least another year or 2 of productivity out of him. He still has an above 1,000-yard ceiling. So I like the Titans at 3. I have them missing the playoffs, and I think they're going to get better in the future, but I think Jacksonville is going to take a step back. And as for Indiana, I was on the fence a little bit about them, but I was
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Same place. Doesn't matter.
As for the Colts, I was on the fence for them a little bit, but I was high on the Texans last year, and I didn't live up, and I didn't own up to it as much as I should have when it was still a question mark. So I'm going to own up to being high on the Colts, as more people are, but that's fine. I think in that Shane Steichen offense, Anthony Richardson can be special. I'm going to leap past what Dante said. I think he can be top 10 this year. He just has to pass some of the guys. Like, we'll see what kind of year Kirk has, Dak, Tua. We'll see what kind of year Aaron Rodgers has on his way back. So I think that Anthony Richardson can immediately insert himself into top 10 conversations. I think that offense can be great. And speaking of great offenses, Houston goes without saying, as long as their defense holds up.
Luke, I was gonna say, the only pick I remember the Jags making this year was Brian Thomas, the receiver from LSU they drafted. I guess as their Ridley replacement, but I don't know much about him, so I'm not gonna go out
And yes, and he could be
fantastic
good.
anything.
He could be good, but to that vein, I say AD Mitchell for the Colts. I say the
That's
Jets
true.
Stephon Diggs, and I say the Titans stole Calvin Ridley from the Jaguars. And I do think at least in a year or two that some of those draft picks will far surpass Calvin Ridley, but there's no time like the present, and I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be fourth in that division.
I think there's one thing, I don't know if you mentioned this either. The Colts have Tyler, or not the Colts, the Titans have Tyler Boyd too.
There you go.
So
I did forget that. I thought I was missing something. So Tower Boyd,
Breaking
Tower
unfortunate
Pollard,
news. Sorry to interrupt.
whoever else. Good additions.
I was going to say breaking unfortunate news. Mark Andrews was involved in a car accident earlier this morning.
oh no.
Yeah, they said he's fine. Sorry to interrupt you, Luke, but
No, I was done.
no, but
Well,
yeah,
hopefully he's okay.
Well,
yeah,
he's
he it says he got in the accident and showed up to the team meeting, so
Jeez.
he must be fine.
Must
But
be
it,
still
it's pretty
scary
easy to
though.
like Mark Andrews. Everything I've read about him, he's just a great person. So
yeah,
I'm glad
I
he's
like
okay.
Mark Andrews. Anyway,
Speaking of which, I
Oh,
was going to say we're down to the two divisions that Dante and I cheer for. So do you want to just go straight into the Ravens and your division?
I was
Yeah,
just
sure.
gonna say, speaking of Mark Andrews, we could jump into the AFC North.
Go for it.
Adam, you're up.
Well, I was gonna say, Dante, you're the Steelers fan. Do you want to
True,
start
I'll go
us off?
first. Okay, in fourth place, call me a hater. I have the Cleveland Browns. I think, I don't know, very unsure about Deshaun Watson. Nick Chubb coming off an injury. You know, they have to rely on Jerry Jeudy and a disgruntled Amari Cooper. That defense is still going to be disgusting. But call me biased, call me a hater. I have the Browns finishing in fourth. In third, I have the Steelers. Though I do think, once again, call me a madman. I do think we could finish in second, but I'll put us at three so I don't sound like a total idiot. But yeah, the Steelers defense still going to be solid this year. If Russ or Justin Fields could play up to their highest potential, we could be a dangerous team. But especially if we land BA, Mr. Brandon Ayuk, which
I did my division here with the understanding that the rosters will go into the year as they are now,
yeah,
Me
which
too.
is probably not going to happen. But
yeah. But if we do land Brandon Ayuk, I could see our offense being way more disgusting.
yes,
Sure.
And then the Bengals at 2. I mean, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. However, excuse me, Jamar Chase not showing up to practice. Who knows what's up with that? I'm sure everything will be resolved before the season starts, but lost Joe Mixon, lost some pieces on the defense, including what safety did they lose? I'm trying to think. They lose Von Bell.
That was last year.
That was
And
last. Who am I thinking
they
of?
lost Jesse Bates last year too.
They lost somebody on defense.
Was it a Awuzie? Is that his name?
Yeah, they lost to
Did he
Woozy
go to the Titans?
and DJ Reader.
Oh yeah, Reader went to the
But,
Lions. I know
Yeah,
that.
Reader went to the Lions. However, they did. Dude, my mind is gone today.
It's
They
okay.
signed that safety from the Ravens. Shit, what's his name? Anyway, that guy had a bunch of picks last year. Yeah, I think the Bengals would be just fine, even though Joe Burrow is coming off a season-ending injury. But I think the Bengals would be just fine. And then the Ravens at 1. I think we'll all agree with that one.
Probably.
well,
Luke,
let's see. What do you have, Adam?
Me?
I was going to bounce it to you because I want to see what you have first.
Okay.
See you want.
Like the AFC South, I have the same order Dante did, but I'll go into more detail with it. Yeah, Cleveland, I mean, they've got some nice weapons. I mean, Amari Cooper's a good player when he's not disgruntled. But with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, I just can't trust anything as far as I throw it. You're good, Dad. Okay. No, you're good. Third, I got the Steelers. I'd like to put them higher. I guess that'll depend on whether they land Mr. Brandon Ayuk. But right now, I mean, upgraded a quarterback. I think that's the main thing they needed to do. The weapons took a hit, losing Deontay Johnson. I guess losing Allen Robinson, was that really that big of a deal? I guess not.
Not really.
Deontay Johnson, I'm so happy we got him, but I know
Totally.
that'll hurt you guys a little bit.
A little bit.
But George Pickens, big year coming for him. You got Fryermuth and whoever else there. Then second, like you said, Bengals. Burrow coming off an injury, they lost some pieces. Who knows what's going to happen with T. Higgins as well. And then first Baltimore, they got better. So I think that that pretty much explains that. Although I could see Cincy in first, but right now I'm just going to go with my gut and say Baltimore is the better team.
By the way, before Luke goes, I want to say the safety I was thinking of that got signed by the Bengals was Geno Stone. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think he'll be very good for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly, I was expecting to hear Bengals, Ravens, Bengals, Ravens. So I didn't expect to agree with you guys perfectly, but I do. I guess we all have Cleveland in last. I was talking to my dad this morning. I said, really, it's all up to Deshaun. He needs to play better. Like you said, disgruntled Amari Cooper, a paid and potentially again complacent Jerry Jeudy. I don't love it. Nick Chubb off of a massive leg injury. I love the guy. I don't love it. Um, it's tough because, like you said, their defense, Kevin Stefanski, Deshaun has some talent left in the tank. Surely he needs to be better though, and if he can't be better, which he proven he hasn't been, he proven he can't be better. He's proven he can't be better. He needs to be better, and if he is, then I could put them somewhere else on this list easily. But until I see that, and it's been long enough to where I don't have to expect that. So until I see that, I have them in fourth. I think they have, relative to their expectations, a pretty low ceiling with him. Like when I mean that, I mean like 10-7, maybe 11-6. And in this division, that might be good enough for third or second. But I mean that relatively low season ceiling in comparison to them, to the Browns fans parading around like they're contenders every offseason. It's just not realistic with him playing like he is. So they changed the least for any team in this division, maybe outside the well, actually, the Pittsburgh Steelers changed the most out of any team in this division. So I'll start with that. And leading to third, I do have the Steelers. Similarly, I can't speak today. It all depends on the quarterback play. And I'm not, frankly, as high on the two guys that they brought in as most people might be, especially around here. They're both obvious upgrades over Kenny Pickett, but they both have just as good of a chance at not being productive as they do at being an answer, I think, which could lead to be an issue. But like you said, especially if they get Brandon Ayuk, that'll open so many doors for that offense. It'll be so much harder to guard, especially because you remember that year when Antonio Brown drew so many double teams all over the place that Juju had like a 1,400-yard season. You could see a similar effect for George Pickens, which could be very scary. So a lot rides on that, but assuming they don't get him, which is a lot to assume, I still have them in third. They did improve on defense. They did improve some on the offensive line for sure. They figured something out with that tandem running back attack. They figured that out. Arthur Smith is an upgrade over the play callers last year. You know, Mike Tomlin, you can't count him out. It's just these things that are integral to the Pittsburgh Steelers that I'm counting on to continue to be part of the culture there. That I think that third is a good place for them. I'm not sure they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not sure they're even going to finish in third, but somehow they always find a way. So I'll keep riding that hot hand until Mike Tomlin retires or until I'm proven otherwise. As far as the Bengals go, they probably have the most volatile ceiling and floor, meaning they could be instantly Super Bowl contenders again, but they could finish in last. I really don't know. I don't think they will because who was their quarterback last year? Was it Jake Browning?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went 9-8 with him, I think. I think that was the record.
Yep.
And with Joe Burrow back, they're going to be better. They lost Tyler Boyd. Let's be real, he was the third target on that team, sometimes the fourth. I don't think it's going to cause much of an effect, at least not a visible and a lasting one. They do need to lock up those contracts. They do need to figure out something, especially with T. Higgins, I think. That's a ticking time bomb. But until then, they can ride it out and see what they can accomplish. And I think they're going to be really good again. But I think it's going to have a slow start or have a muddy sort of middle of the season. They need to get hot once or twice because I think that they shouldn't be certain things are going to be like they were now that we're 2 years removed from their Super Bowl appearance. It's not going to be that easy again. And as for Baltimore, I do have them in first again, which I didn't think you guys would. I was a little surprised. I think that they did not get any worse pretty much at all. They had a Derrick Henry of all people. who we'll see what he has left at this point in his career. I thought the same kind of thing last year, and he ended up having a great year. So I think they're going to be well in first again. But I don't think they did enough to win more playoff games or go farther this year. I just think they're going to get first again.
Okay. All right, so we got one division left to tackle. AFC East. Luke, I know you just went, but you are the Pats fan, so I think it's right you start us off here.
Yeah, I can do that. Fourth place, I have my New England Patriots. Listen, this is going to be a tough division. We have one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. The first couple weeks will belong to Jacoby Brissett. There are already stupid Milton and May debates, which don't help anyone. Joe Milton is not starting over him anytime soon. I don't care how much raw talent he has. Having 3 good quarterbacks is a very good problem. But he's not going to suddenly catapult Drake May in any sort of discussions. So that's just our fan base not helping. But those things have tangible effects. This happened with Mac and Zappy. Those aren't great things. So I think there are going to be some hiccups next year. Defense, while it's getting health back, didn't get so much better. The offensive line is not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty. Just yesterday or the day before, in joint practices with the Eagles, we got sacked 16 times in the span of like 5 drives. It's going to be pretty ugly. And I'm not sure that Jacoby Brissett is going to be as good as I'm hoping he's going to be. I just don't know. The wide receivers are all obviously a big talking point. I am much higher on our wide receiver room than most people. And I just say that because I see us consistently ranked dead last in the league for that position again. I just think people are out of their minds. I think the people aren't bothering looking past the surface. Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, 2 draft picks that I really trust, that I really think will pan out. Kendrick Bourne is now finally healthy. I'm going to count my luck and see how long he'll stay healthy. But when he's been healthy, he's been great. Pop Douglas was an emerging, not star, but definitely worth keeping on the field as often as possible. He should have a good year. Hunter Henry has been Mr. Consistent. We paid Ramondre Stevenson, which I'm a little bit worried about because he didn't have a very good year last year. And I would have rather probably kept Zeke than bring on Antonio Gibson, but it's not much of a difference there, so I'll trust it. It's all going to come down to quarterback play, health, and the defense, which is going to be young, but I think Christian Gonzalez can be one of the best corners in the league. Depending on if we pay him or not, we'll see what we get for him. If we trade him, Matt Judon is a discussion, but he's one of the hardest workers in the league, and he's going to make an impact if he's on the field. There's a lot of variables, and it's a very, very, very tough schedule. And as much as I don't like the Jets, I'm not going to put them 4th, but I will put them 3rd. I'm going to put the Jets 3rd, as I said at the end of last year more than once. I find it ridiculous that people think a 40-year-old distracted quarterback is the answer to that mess of a team we saw last year, with a coach who would have been fired if not for the prospect of that 40-year-old distracted quarterback coming back. The offense is fine. The defense is scary, but I don't think it's as scary as people make it out to be. On paper, it certainly is, but they're young. Injuries happen, stuff like that, and I just don't trust Robert Saleh, like I said. In this division, there's way too many question marks with that team. I mean, look at Hassan Reddick hasn't put on pads for the team, and he's already requesting out. Now, he might just be a little bit crazy in the head, but that doesn't change the fact that culture is not as tight and as pretty as they want it to look from the outside. In second, I have Miami. This is kind of boring because it's exactly how the division went last year. But I don't think enough has changed. Miami didn't necessarily get better, but nobody really did, other than the Patriots, honestly, and the Jets just by prospect of getting Aaron Rodgers back. I think Miami will be good enough to win games. There's so much talent. Tua got paid. The defense is littered with talent at the same time as the fact that it also got stripped down a bit. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, the way they used those running backs last year, they're going to win games. It's inevitable. But they're also going to choke at the end like they did last year to Buffalo, who I also have in first yet again. I don't like Buffalo. You guys know that. I don't like Josh Allen. You guys know that. And I don't think they did it. They had a very good offseason at all. But they're going to figure it out just because they do. And if they don't, it's time to move on from Sean Payton and really figure something out because they stripped down that defense. They traded Stephon Diggs. What'd you say?
You mean Sean McDermott?
What did I say?
Sean Payton.
Okay, yeah, I meant Sean McDermott. I was kind of... My mouth is moving faster than my brain. They need they need to have this good year, which is why I think they will. Josh Allen is not going to get any worse, noting that he has gotten a little bit worse over the past 2 years just by way of the turnovers. I don't think that'll be quite as much of a problem. And what nobody seems to bring up, but I bring up all the time, at least to Adam, is that towards the end of last year, especially in the playoffs and the last couple of drives of those games, they did not really use Stephon Diggs, and they still looked fine when Josh Allen was moving the ball. I mean, Shakir is better than people think he is. Keon Coleman is wait and see. It's hard to say any borderline first round pick is going to be a bust. It's hard to call that, but I'm not super high on him. I'll just put it that way. But they have a nasty double tight end set. They're always going to be efficient running the ball. James Cook is as good as he's going to be. They're going to win the division. They just always do.
Okay.
All right, whichever one of you wants to go next. Sorry, I took up some time there, but
That's okay. Hey, you're a fan of the Pats, and you know the division better than anyone.
I like to think I do. I certainly think I did last year.
You really did last year.
I'll go next. I'll make it
Yeah,
easy
go for it, Dante.
because I had the exact same order as Luke. I got Pats at 4, Jets at 3, Dolphins 2, Bills 1. However, I do think this is one of the more malleable divisions. I feel like things could switch up. However, sorry, Luke, I do think the Pats are
It's fine.
finishing last. But Jets, Dolphins, Bills, I think those could swap however you want. But I'll go with the safe pick. I'll go with the Bills at 1, just because, last year they didn't, like midway through the season, they didn't look too hot, but towards the end, we were talking about, are the Bills going to even make the playoffs? And then they really snapped into gear and, made a good push and inevitably, beat my Steelers in the first round, which I'm still salty about. But
Understandably.
I think you can never count out Josh Allen. And I think McDermott is a solid head coach. If Keon Coleman could be that guy, once again, Luke, you said it's hard to call these mid to borderline first round guys, but if he could be what he was at Florida State, I really think he had a whole new problem to deal with for opposing defenses. And then Dolphins at 2, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are going to do their thing. And I think their defense is also going to be pretty solid. And then Jets at 3, Aaron Rodgers hasn't played football in really over a year and a half. I mean, maybe not that long. What am I talking about? Hasn't played a full season in over a year and a half. Yeah, I don't know. I think Breece Hall is going to be real good. I think the Jets offense is going to be very solid. I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a lot of volume this season. I think the Jets defense could be good, but I just don't trust them like I trust the Dolphins and the Bills right now. I mean, the Jets could either be, like in 12-5 or 9-8,
Yeah.
My French, but yeah, I don't know. That's how I have the AFC East.
And another thing real quick is I agree with you. This division could and will it'll get mixed up 10 times before it's all said and done. Even though we both think it's going to end the same way, which is a consistent way, but it'll get mixed up quite a bit. And I actually think I keep thinking to myself, I think the Patriots are going to surprise some people. And yes, I have them in 4th. That doesn't mean they're going to be in 3rd or even 2nd in the playoffs. But I keep seeing 4-13, 5-12, 3-14. I don't buy it. We're basically the only team in our division that got consistently better over almost the entire picture. It's a new era. There's no messy butting heads anymore. So I think if it weren't for our tough schedule, I would say we could win 9 or 10 games. But I'll just say that we're not going to be as bad as we were last year, because that was one of the worst.
I was thinking like 7 or 8 wins. I mean,
yeah, I know
you guys will be in 4th, but it won't be like you'll be within a game to 2 games of the 3rd place. I don't think it's going to be complete garbage.
I don't think we eliminated until like week 14 or 15.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I know we snuck out some wins last year, like the Broncos, like the Steelers, but that was one of the worst teams ever assembled last year. I mean, awful. I mean, injuries did play a big part in that. But when you look back at that roster, I was looking at a picture of it the other day. Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi throwing to Juju, Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Reagor, handing it off to a 29-year-old Zeke with that offensive lineup, and Mike Gesicki, who like had 1 touchdown all year, it makes me want to throw up. So there's no way we're that bad again. I know we have a tough schedule. I know that our division is tough. I know the AFC is tough. We're not going to be that bad again. And if we are, it's going to be a way different type of 4, 5, 6 wins, which I don't even want to think about. But I'm just saying we could surprise some people in the way that we're not going to be a bottom 3 team in the league.
True.
All right, go
So-
for it.
I was laughing at the beginning of Dante's thing, no offense, but it was only because I have the same order you guys do. Yeah, New England last, like Luke said, they are better, but they're in a really tough to sit division where the rest of the teams are just slightly better, probably on paper, may prove it on the field, but I don't think the Patriots are gonna last in last place very long. I think it may only be this year, and then from here on out, they start climbing back up the standings. Third place Jets. I mean, Rodgers is coming back, but there's still so many question marks, so many what ifs with that group. You know, I can't really be confident in them until I see them prove it on the field, because the Jets are kind of like the Cowboys of the AFC. They've been hyped up for so long with this whole Aaron Rodgers stuff, and they just can't prove anything. Like, it was Aaron Rodgers. Before that, it was Zach Wilson. Before that, it was Sam Darnold, and nothing has happened. I can't believe it until I see them prove it. So that's why they're getting third place from me. Miami second. I mean, yeah, they got worse probably. I mean, I guess they did. They got a little better on defense, I think, and OBJ, I mean, is OBJ at this point. They're still going to win some. What'd you say?
Forgot they even got him.
I did too until I just
Ask
said
the Ravens what kind of impact he has.
Yeah,
I mean,
Super Bowl champ.
yeah, I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, the Dolphins, I think, look a little worse, but they could still win some games. And then Buffalo in first. I mean, that's just Buffalo in first to me is just kind of, I have to give first to somebody. And I might as well give it to the team that's won the division the last few years. I mean, I know they lost Stephon Diggs, but like Dante said, they're replacing him with Keon Coleman. I think they're just going to find a way. I'm not very high on the Bills. Out of the 4 division winners, I think Buffalo will be the worst one, but still a division winner, still get a home playoff game. But we've seen that doesn't matter much. They've lost. They've got eliminated in their own stadium back-to-back years. So who says it's not happening for a third year? All right, but anyways, we have completed our order. So now what we need to do is I need 3 wildcard teams from y'all. I have mine if you want me to go first.
Sure.
Luke?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So my 4 division winners were I'll go, I guess I won't go in order of what they are because I don't really know yet, but we all had the same division winners of Baltimore, Houston, Buffalo, and Kansas City. For my first wild card, I'm going to take the Bengals. Baltimore and Cincy was probably one of the closer division toss-ups I had. That and the AFC East were the 2 close ones between Buffalo and Miami. I guess you could throw the Jets in there, but I'd probably say the closest battle was Baltimore versus Cincinnati. So I'm obviously going to give Cincinnati that first wildcard spot. This may surprise y'all. My second wildcard spot is going to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm really high on Richardson. I think he's going to have a great year. I think they're building something nice there. I think Spikey's really going to help that team do well, maybe better than last year. Like I said, had they beat the Texans in that win-in game, this could be the Colts we were talking about in first, to not Houston. So it's just something to think about. And then last, I am going to give that final spot to the Miami Dolphins. I still think that roster on paper can get there. They may not win a playoff game, but I still think they're good enough to sneak in and at least be part of the picture. So as for the first teams I have out, I think the Steelers are right on the edge for me. If they get Brandon Ayuk, they may be my number 7. But right now, I'm going off the rosters I have. And then it's probably like Steelers, Jets, Browns are probably your first 3 out for me. maybe Jacksonville, but I'll go Cincy, Indy, Miami is my 5 through 7.
Adam, what's your seeding 1 through 4 with the division
Yeah, I
winners?
was gonna ask.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, I'll go kind of bold. This was the surprise thing I told Luke about that I was going to save if we had records for this. I have Houston number 1. I really think they're going to be good this year. Like
That's
top.
definitely possible.
I'll go KC 2, Baltimore 3, Buffalo 4,
Fire.
and Cincy, Indy, Miami.
Cool.
I'll write that down. I didn't think of doing that. Okay.
You or me, Dante?
You could go.
That works because not only do I have the same 3 wildcard teams
Same
in
order.
the same order, I have 1 through 4 in the same order.
Oh, no way.
So I
You
have,
Houston number 1 too.
yeah, I have the exact same playoff picture,
Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone with that.
which means, and I enjoy this fact, Miami gets to go to Arrowhead.
I didn't think of that. See, it's perfect. Well, Dante, your thing could come true too. If the Steelers end up being my 7, it's the annual Arrowhead loss.
Okay.
Well, I think my first couple out, sorry to interrupt,
No, you're all good.
Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, Jacksonville, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, so my 1 through 4, my number 1 seed. Mine's a bit boring and similar to last year. I have the Ravens at the 1 seed.
That's fair.
I have the Chiefs at the 2 seed. Texans 3, Bills 4. For my wild card teams, I have Miami at 5. I have Cincinnati at 6. And I have Colts/Steelers at 7. I feel
So
like
you're undecided.
it all
I'll
depends on
allow it.
it all depends on, as we're recording this, if the Steelers go in with the receiving core they have right now, I'd say we miss. But if we get Ayuk, I say we get 7. So that's the conditional.
I'll allow it.
Cool. All right. I'll leave it like that. And I was gonna say, guys, I don't think I'm posting these things on our Instagram page until closer to the season. So by then we'll probably know where Ayuk is. I mean, I hope we know where Ayuk is by then. This has been going on for way too long.
I'm hoping we know where he goes by the end of the day, because Jerry Rice, of all people, put out a post last night. He was like, "Today's the day we find out where Brandon Ayuk goes." And he's like, "What do you know that we don't?"
Right.
My goat, Jerry.
I guess it's down to the Steelers and the Niners from what I've heard. I don't think Washington's going to get him. I don't think Cleveland's going to get him.
No matter what happens, I'm just glad that the Browns fans got their hopes up that they would actually get an elite receiver and didn't. But I don't know, that made me happy. It would even make me more happy if we got him and stole him from Cleveland, but it did not make me happy seeing him not go to New England, Luke. I feel like that would have been a cool spot for him, but
It would have been, but I want to see what we have right now.
yeah, you guys are also rebuilding, and giving up that draft capital would be,
If this were next year, and it might be with T. Higgins, then I would say absolutely. But I'm okay with seeing what we have right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to say, don't do what we did with our draft capital. Wait and see. That trade's almost done. We don't have our 2nd round pick next year, but we do have one from the Rams, so we're okay.
Hey, I'm eager to see how Bryce Young does. I think he could be good.
I know. Hey, that's a topic for next week.
That is.
Excited for that. I'll have a Carolina Panther jersey or t-shirt on next week for sure.
Okay. Let's go.
All right. I think that does it. All right.
Go do your outro.
I am right now.
Dante. I almost said Luke.
Dante.
Fire.
Here, we can mix it up. Dante.
Adam. Oh wait.
Dante.
Dante.
Luke.
Also Dante.
I'm Adam too, I guess. We'll see y'all next week.
Fire.
Thank you for listening.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Dante.